next, I want to talk to you about something that I know can feel confusing when you're first getting into AI consulting, which is, what are people actually selling? Because it's one thing to hear that you can make a whole lot of money with AI, which is true, but when you actually sit down and try to turn that into an offer, it can feel really overwhelming. You might understand that AI is extremely powerful, but still not know how that turns into a real paid service. So let me just break this down for you, because you do not need to start by selling anything and everything. When I first started thinking about AI services, the things I felt confident offering were a lot more simple than the list of services that I've included in the AI Services Catalog. When I first started exploring AI services, I did not begin with the most complex and highest paid offer. I started with things that felt way more manageable and easy to digest. Things like chatbots, ROI calculators, lead generation systems, and content automation way before I got into developing voice agents or custom software. Things where I could easily understand the problem, understand the outcome, and explain the value to someone without feeling like I was pretending to be someone that I was not. For example, a chatbot is easy for a business owner to understand because they get repeated questions, they want faster responses, and they want people to be able to find information without having to wait. So a chatbot just makes sense and is so easy to explain. Or something like a return on investment calculator. That is also super easy to understand. Someone needs a tool that helps people calculate pricing, understand their options, or move through a buying decision faster. Or how about something like content automation? Because everyone knows that founders, creators, agencies, and personal brands all struggle with content. They have ideas, but they don't have a system for turning those ideas into posts, captions, emails, carousels, scripts, or newsletters. So a content automation system is something that you can explain very clearly. It solves a problem people already feel. That is the kind of place I would recommend starting. Not because those are the only services you can sell, but because they're the easiest to understand when you're starting to build your confidence. Then, as I kept learning, I started to go deeper. I learned more about AI tools, explored more automations, started getting into way more complex workflows. I started to see the patterns and understand how AI can not just help with one single task, but with full agentic systems. The more I learned, the more well-versed I became, and the more confident I became. And the more confident I became, the more I could start offering more complex and relatively more expensive services. This is how your career as an AI consultant grows. You do not have to start at the most advanced level. You just have to start somewhere. You build your skill, you build your confidence, you build proof and testimonials before you can evolve. One of the biggest things I want you to understand is that businesses are not buying AI. They're buying outcomes. They're buying their free time back and buying faster responses, better follow-up, smoother operations, more clarity, and less manual work. They're buying systems that help them make more money, save more time, or operate with less chaos. So when you think about what you want to sell, don't start with "I sell AI." Start with, what problem can I actually help a business solve? That is the big difference. AI is the tool and the business outcome is the offer. So if you're new, here are a few service categories that can be easier to start with. And remember, the AI Services Catalog goes much deeper into all of this, so you don't need to memorize every single thing from this lesson. This lesson is about helping you understand the landscape. The catalog is where you can start to go deeper. Now, here's where I want you to think bigger without overwhelming yourself. You can start off with simple services, but over time, your goal is to develop what I like to call your Holy Grail offer. Your Holy Grail offer is the thing that you become best known for, the thing that you get really, really good at and that you enjoy doing the most, the thing that combines your skill, your taste, your experiences, your favorite tools, and your unique perspective. It's not always a thing that you start with. It is often the thing that you grow and evolve into. For me, my Holy Grail has evolved so much over the past 2.5 years. Although I had started off with much more simpler services like selling voice agents or chatbots, that wasn't my passion. Now, my biggest venture is called Legacy House. Legacy House is a digital transformation studio, which I recently co-founded with my best friend and business partner. And what we focus on is a full front-end and back-end transformation for brands and founders who are looking to scale for the new era of business. So this can include things like your visual brand identity, immersive digital experiences, automated content systems, and full back-end infrastructure. It's not just a tiny AI service or automation. It's a full 360-degree transformation. I got here after 2.5 years of consulting and understanding where the gaps were and exactly how I was able to solve them. It's looking at a brand or business and asking, what is the bigger opportunity here? what needs to change for this business to look, feel, and operate and scale at the next level. As a naturally creative person with a background as a visual artist, this is the kind of work that I have grown into. This is my holy grail offer, but I did not get there by trying to sell the most complex thing before I was ready. I got here by exploring, learning, testing, and building, by seeing what was possible in real time and becoming more confident over time through practice and iteration. This is what I want for you too. Just find somewhere to start, then don't be afraid to evolve. And the most important thing you can do is do not bite off more than you can chew. If you're not a technical person yet, don't start by selling a complex custom AI platform as your first offer unless you have a very reliable, proven delivery partner. Just because someone trusts you enough to want to pay you a huge amount of money to get a specific end result doesn't mean you should jump at that opportunity. Believe me, because I have literally made this mistake more than once, and it has not ended well. The bigger the opportunity, the bigger the risk. So please be careful here when saying yes to the projects that you take on. If you've never scoped an automation before, do not promise a giant automation with 15 moving parts, hoping to figure it out. If you're still learning, start with something you can confidently explain and manage. Starting small is not a weakness, it's how you build your confidence. The goal is never to impress people with the most complex service. The goal is simply to solve real problems and then stack from there. Another thing I want you to remember is that you do not have to personally build any of these things on your own. There's a difference between being an AI consultant and being the technical builder. As the consultant, your role is limiting. As the consultant, you can own the diagnosis, strategy, communication, scoping, making recommendations, briefing projects, and quality control. Then you hire a developer, an automation specialist, or a delivery team that can help you with the build and execution. This is literally how all agencies work. The person selling and leading the transformation is not always a person coding every piece. Although once I started coding myself, I literally love to build my own projects now, but it took me 2 years to get here. So if you're not technical, that does not mean you cannot participate in this opportunity. It means that you need to be responsible. You need to know and fully understand what you are selling. That's the key to high-ticket sales. You need to be able to define the scope clearly, price accordingly, and you need to know when to bring in help and who to bring in for each specific project. And more than anything, you need to avoid overpromising. This is the key to becoming a successful AI consultant. So how do you choose where to start? Start by asking yourself, what kind of business do I understand? What kind of problems do I naturally notice? What kind of services feel easiest for me to explain? Where does my passion lie? What could I learn quickly and deliver responsibly? Where do I already have taste, experience, or confidence? If you're good at content, start with content systems. If you understand sales, start with lead follow-ups. If you're strategic and good at spotting gaps, just start with business audits. And if you like tools and workflows, maybe just start with automations. There's really no one correct answer here. The correct answer is the one that you can explain clearly, practice, and start testing with real people. We're going to get into this a lot deeper in the next module, so I invite you to keep watching.